beautiful day it is.
Oh, yes, it
You
is.
know, I love it in Southern California, sunny Southern California, when the weather is a bit gloomy. It makes for beautiful days, absolutely beautiful days. And when the sun finally comes out because the marine layer breaks, it's spectacular. But that's not why you're watching this video.
Yeah, and I'm going to have to say, I'm not going to agree with you on this one. I like sunshine. I like heat.
Oh, bro, listen,
I mean, come on.
I'm a big fan of all the sunshine and all that. All the heat, I don't know. It's got to be like a cool breeze, nice sunny day. I know, bro. The desert is still in you.
Yeah, I mean,
We got to get the desert out of you.
I miss opening up the door to the bus and walking out and feeling like you hit an oven, the turbo on the oven. And, I
Baby,
turn
what's
back
the-
to the
what's wrong-
driver
what's
and I
wrong with
say,
you?
how hot is it? And he says 51. Now,
Which is about 106
23,
degrees.
123.
Yeah.
I mean, I just miss it sometimes.
Yeah, you're sick in the head.
Yeah,
But
well,
that's
there we go.
okay.
There we go. I get it.
Now watch all the people get mad at me. They're saying, "Oh, James, you're disrespectful to David."
Oh, come on. No, come on. This is what we do. And I'm even going to go a little bit because I am a little bit sick. Do you know that tanks don't have, my tank did not have air conditioning?
No. How in the world does that work?
Just so you get an idea, I mean, you literally sit there and sweat.
That's cuckoo.
Well, no. What we used to do is, we had little hoses for the, the air filters for our gas masks in case of a chemical attack. And we would stick that into our coveralls and turn it on, and we get air going through our
That is cuckoo.
yeah. So, again, welcome on a nice glary day.
No wonder why you're looking forward to that.
Oh, come on. I mean, I miss them. I really do. I mean, every once in a while, I see something and I really miss the tanks. Though they're having a hard time.
Okay, I'm going to just say this, and I'm going to leave it alone after this. The gloom that everybody is seeing right now in Southern California will become very sunny in about an hour and a half, and that means there will be a beautiful breeze, and that's going to be nice. Not that that matters to anybody else who's dealing with all this craziness. But
Well, we
got
got
a lot to talk about.
We got a lot of craziness to deal with.
okay,
Ugh.
so I'm going to lay this out so that people know what to expect today. We are going to talk about war in Lebanon. We are going to talk about the IDF very actively striking Lebanon last night, and, of course, Gaza.
Yeah, and I want to go a little bit deeper into that if we can, and I'm giving a teaser for later. Let's talk about the yellow line.
Oh, yeah,
we've
that's
got
an
a
important one.
New line, and we've got a name for it. It's a yellow line, and it's a little bit more than just a line on the map, and we'll go into that a little bit, kind of give an understanding.
Yeah, so you're going to get a great education on what's happening in Gaza right now. If he's talking yellow line, that's going to be important. The Litani is going to be important. It's going to be a great conversation. Thank you, Nate. It's going to be a great conversation that we're going to have. By the way, a very important conversation. It's not one that can be ignored because of what is involved with Hezbollah and Hamas, for that matter. We're also going to talk about what in the world is happening in the Gulf. By the way, if you have not taken time to listen to the brief that I did on Sunday night, I released it early Monday morning, you should go back and watch it. Because I shared basically what my heart was in helping everybody to understand what I think is actually going on in the Middle East. And what I think is actually going on in the Middle East is really, really critical. Really critical. And by the way, I think it was a badge of honor because that video brought out a lot of the Trump haters. A lot of very angry people texted me.
I don't know what's happening. I've been getting a lot more hatred lately also.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, if you defend the truth, people are not going to like you. You know, it's really interesting. This one was more entertaining than anything. I got told that I was a joke when it came to geopolitical analysis. Okay. That I don't know what I'm talking about in the Middle East, and I don't know what I'm talking about in South Asia.
Guys, if you've been watching this show on a regular basis, you've got probably some of the more accurate analysis that you've gotten from any dynamic anywhere.
Oh, undoubtedly. Undoubtedly. But you know, what are you going to do? Keyboard warriors get tough and they get bold and they get stupid. And that's what happens.
Do we need to talk about the anti-Semitism that's kind of rearing its head from every way, shape, and form?
It's threaded everywhere.
And
it's a sick cancer. It's like it's everywhere, David.
Yeah, but I need to talk about. Here's the thing, and I keep on saying this. I've got a Jewish and a Christian side mixed in together. They're not separable, okay? But my Jewish side said, okay, everybody hates us. My Christian side says, why is the church turning against its Jews right now? And I have to say that it's getting worse even inside the church. I mean, I can understand the crazy Muslims. I can understand the crazy pink-haired. I can understand the crazy Tuckers, okay? Why are people in the church turning against Israel? And that is wacko in my mind.
I am certain that what you are seeing right now in the church with respect to the cuckoo-ness of people is deeply relative to the fact that many of them are not even filled with the Spirit, and many of them are not even being taught well. Because think about this. You can't, let me just simply say this. You cannot develop the level of hatred that we are seeing right now without being indoctrinated. You have to be indoctrinated. If you're not indoctrinated, you're not going to have that level of hatred. The problem is most people don't understand what indoctrination looks like. Indoctrination can be just simply, I'm not moving, and I'm not going to say anything, and I'm going to let all the other voices jump in and say all the nonsense that they want to say.
I get that, and I totally understand that, and I'm going to say something that, again, people need to say it and repeat it. You cannot be a born-again Christian, a born-again Bible-reading Christian, and be anti-Semitic.
No, it's impossible.
You cannot.
You can't hate anybody and be a believer, but especially anti-Semitic.
But here's the thing. Here's part of the thing. You probably cannot be a practicing homosexual and be a born-again believer.
You can't.
But we're seeing this fuzziness in the churches on both issues, and I'm giving just another issue, and we're seeing, oh, right. I mean, I don't believe maybe that Israel has lost the promise, but what Israel is doing is not Christian.
Yeah.
Okay.
But here, can I just say this? I'm gonna please. I don't care if anybody takes it the wrong way, but you know what? You are biblically retarded. You're a biblical retard. If you say that the reason why Israel is rejected is because of their sin, you really are. You're biblically retarded. Here's why. Because the Bible says that God will gather his people from around the world while they're in a state of rebellion. If they're all walking spiritually, if they're all walking solidly, then something's wrong. The prophecy's not being fulfilled. If they're waving their fist at God and flipping them off while they're being put in the land, now we know that biblical truth is happening. Why is this hard for people to understand? Tell me why.
And we're getting some pushback here. I mean, what I'm trying to say is, if I am a sinful, fallen person, am I lost as far as God's concerned? I mean, does God turn his back on people who are sinful?
Well, can I just say this right off the bat, because I want to address this before people in the chat get really crazy and like all out of the way. When David makes the statement that says you can't be born again and hate Jews, okay, that's a very nuanced statement. I want everybody to understand that for a second, okay? Because I want people to recognize this, okay? There are plenty of people that are born again that hate Jews. Plenty of them. Okay? But when they get exposed to the Word of God and the Spirit of God begins to convict them, they change. We run into people all the time in Egypt. All the time.
Yeah.
That get saved and they hate Jews. They're walking with God. They love Jesus. They've given their lives a new start by putting their faith and trust in Christ. Okay? There's a ton of people that are that way, and they hate Jews. But if they're walking with the Lord for a certain period of time, and they have the Spirit of God inside of them, that won't last long. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, okay, let's nuance it a little bit. Let's see if I can get into this, and I don't know. Maybe we're going to be stepping into something here. Even if you can convince yourself theologically that the Jews have lost their special promise, what we call replacement theology.
Granted, yes.
Okay, I can still see somebody who has made that mistake and is still a born-again Christian.
Oh, listen.
I can get that.
There's a guy that I can think of right now who's a ministry guy. He's replacement theology. He's a replacement theology guy, and he loves Jesus with his whole heart. Matter of fact, you could technically call him a Zionist in that he believes that the Jews have the right to self-determination. But he doesn't see the Jews as part of God's plan as a whole. I think he's lost. I mean, in other words, I don't think he sees things clearly. But he's still a believer. He loves the Lord. He doesn't hate Jews.
Okay, so that's the thing. I mean, I'm making a distinction between replacement theology and anti-Semitism. They're not exactly the same thing. I mean, I got a pastor here. He might not completely agree with me. Okay, replacement theology is a theological question that is wrong, and I think is basically being used by the deceiver in the great game that is being played for the hearts and the minds and the souls of people on planet Earth.
So where are we having a disagreement here?
Okay, anti-Semitism. So person can agree or can be turned away from replacement theology, but hatred of the Jews because they are Jews is a deeper issue that I think is even deeper than replacement theology. Are you following me on this one?
Yeah.
You said somebody who believes in replacement theology but doesn't hate Jews.
Yep.
The hatred of the Jews that we're seeing coming out of the woodwork, I think, is a tool of the devil. And I think that is what I'm trying to say more than anything on that regard.
Yeah. Okay. I think that in essence what we're dealing with is in essence semantics in many ways. I mean, I'm not so sure that I think we're good.
Okay. But it is getting worse. I have
but the
more
Bible
and
told
more
us it would.
people kind of standing up on their own 2 feet. And since we are on the subject and we're ongoing to this, I'm going to say even more. There's something that is, even if a pastor, a church, a congregation, an idea, a dynamic is not actively anti-Semitic, we hate the Jews, or not even actively replacement theology, but is not dealing with the issues of Israel from the pulpit as part of the, I'm going to say, for lack of a better word, it's part of the vitamins that a church needs in order to be a healthy church, okay, then that in itself is also a problem in the church.
Yeah. Yeah. Just like churches that refuse to engage in political issues. They're sick. Something is wrong.
And before I forget, I see somebody here. Struggling with something wrong is not a problem. We all struggle with wrong things.
100%.
Okay? How do you say, justifying or legalizing or approval of things that the Bible says are adamantly wrong, there's where my line goes.
Yeah, it's a mind virus. It's a mind virus. That's exactly what it is. It's really, 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 really bad. It's really, really bad.
By the way, part of the problem is even, and again, we're seeing this in the evangelical church, but I want to stress that a lot of the places where we're seeing the pushback comes from the more traditional churches. People who are Catholic, by definition, the Catholic Church has bought into replacement theology, and that was done a long time ago. This is not new. So most of the people, the Catholic, Orthodox, more, I'm going to say traditional denominations, by definition, have moved Israel out of its purpose and moved the church into that role, if I'm saying that correctly. So what I'm hearing a lot of is, okay, people like people who are actively Catholic. There's a podcast with somebody called The Dad. I heard a little bit. He says, I'm actively Catholic, and the Catholic Church has made it clear through the Church Fathers down to history that Israel has lost its role. And I mean, I'm going to go back as far as St. Augustus, who kind of had things to say about that, and definitely when you go down there. So by default, Catholics are anti-Israel. Now, here's my problem with that. And I think I've said this before, anti-Israelism, anti-Jewishism has a political ramification. People who are anti-Israel on a spiritual level are anti-Israel on a political level in the whole discourse or in the whole argument that we're having in the United States about what is the role of Israel, or what kind of relationship should the modern state of Israel have with the United States of America today. And what I'm trying to say is there's a political, you can see that divide. If people tend to be more replacement theology by their theology, they tend to be more anti-Israel by their politics. And I don't understand why completely those two go together. I mean, Israel, even if you take out the theological aspect, is a massive ally to the United States of America. By the way, we've got squadrons that are based, Air Force squadrons that are based in Israel now. The United States is moving more and more assets into Israel because it's the only safe place for American assets anywhere in the Middle East. And if you want to have a presence in the Middle East where you can deal with threats to the United States in the Middle East, Israel is same as the place to have them. So Israel is an ally of the United States even without the theology. The theology is, I think, tainting or shifting or weighing in on the politics. And that, I think, is part of what the deceiver is doing to play this game.
Yeah, listen, this is what I would like to do, because I think this is kind of important. Just so that we can kind of get past this a little bit. There's a person who is in the chat right now. His name is Just A Roscoe. Okay. I'm not going to read all of your comments, but your comments are definitely right on. Okay. I just want you to know that. Like, I'm not, I think there's an important distinction that I want you to understand. You can be struggling with any kind of sin. You can be struggling with alcoholism. You can be struggling with fornication. You can be struggling with homosexuality. Name the sin, okay, and still be a believer. God is working through you, and it's a process. And those are things that become real struggles. And they absolutely have no bearing on your salvation, right? Your salvation is predicated upon putting your faith and trust in Christ and the finished work that Christ did. That's a no-brainer, okay? But you're talking about things that deal with behavioral issues, addictions, that kind of a thing.
And by the way, we all have them.
Yeah, everybody.
We all have them.
Everybody deals with that.
Let's make this clear.
I would even go so far as to say that if somebody came up to me and said, listen, I know that it's wrong for me as a believer to hate Jews, but I still hate Jews and I need help. Hey, you know what? Okay, let's sit with you and let's talk and let's have a conversation. But if you run around in the name of Jesus, and you actually end up saying, for lack of better term, I'm justified in my position of hatred of Jews, you're not biblical. You're not speaking things clearly or biblical. I want to make myself clear there.
Let's see if I can kind of illustrate what I am trying to kind of tie together. we all struggle with our sinful nature, and I've said this on this platform many, many times. We are sinful by definition, by default. I mean, let's make that clear. My problem is not with people who struggle with the sin and either fall or rise up accordingly. My problem, homosexuality would be a good example. When a pastor stands up and says that, well, you know that God was gay.
Yeah, like
That is where you take it from, okay, this is a problem we need to deal with, to a place where you are justifying this move away from biblical doctrine, okay, in order to support something that you know is wrong.
Yeah, I 100% agree. 100% agree. And by the way, there is a cancer going on. And I'm going to tell you, there are lots of people that I'm telling you, if they were to die today, I'm convinced they would go to hell. People like Candace Owens, who deny the deity of Christ. She does. I think she's an evil person. I think Tucker is evil. I don't know whether or not Tucker is going to hell, but he sure seems to hate the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
Oh, and he loves the God of Muhammad.
Yeah, and I'm not God, but when you start worshiping or at least attributing acceptance to the worship of Allah, we may have a problem on our hands. So, look, my point is we have to speak about these things openly, and enough is enough. Enough is enough. I actually have a theory. I think you have to be spiritually retarded to follow Candace Owens. or any other people like that who just avidly wave their fists at God like this.
Yeah, but here's the thing. It's coming up. I mean, more and more, especially, James, young people.
Oh, yeah. It's,
more and more young people
but the reason, but listen to this, David. The reason why it's coming up more with young people is because the voices that young people listen to are people that have no purpose. The voices that people are, look, the number one guy that young people are listening to right now lives in the basement of the home of his mother and father. He has no meaningful relationships, and he continues to walk in some sense of delusion. So if that's what the kids see, and they don't see any aspiration to go out there and get married and live a beautiful life and be adventurous and all of these wonderful, admirable things, that's what they're going to become.
Okay, but I'm going to kind of tweak this a little bit and see if I can kind of explain what I feel to a certain extent is happening. The hatred of Israel and the vitriol and the poison that is being poured out on Israel on all of the streets and all of the media, okay, in some cases becomes a hook, a tool to pull people into the church. What am I trying to say? I've heard people say, in a nutshell, I'm paraphrasing, come to our church because we're the church that does hate Israel and not the church that makes Israel into a hero. And in this way becomes more attractive to young people who have that hatred of Israel. And I've heard ministries or churches or people influencers are saying, listen, you can be a part of this church, you can be a part of this ministry, and you can still hate Israel.
Yeah.
And that is becoming, wait a minute, you don't have to turn off your hate for Israel because you're coming to church. And I see some, not pastors, but influencers who are trying to pull young people in to connection to the church. And he says, read your Bible because the Bible doesn't say Israel's right.
Yeah. Listen, so much of this stuff is just blatantly and openly demonic, and we just know it. And quite frankly, anti-Semitism isn't just demonic; it's a cancer. It's a mind virus. And if you really go back to it and you start looking at all of these people who have become spiritually retarded, who have that issue at hand, it's the cancer of anti-Semitism that's eating them up. Takes away their critical thinking, takes away their ability. It's just ridiculous.
So Tim, maybe kind of before we move off to the next one.
And by the way, for the one question, not to interrupt, in David's case, he's a Christian, a Jew, and a Zionist.
Wow.
I'm a Christian and a Zionist.
Wow.
And I'm Egyptian. Really American, born in America first, but plain and simple. No shame. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Because the virus is going to take over everybody's mind to want to discuss it. There's some people in the chat that are clearly angered by that. Oh, well.
I'm going to say this very clear. If you want to talk about it, reach out to me, reach out to James, and I'll go anywhere, and I'll talk with anyone. I mean, this is part of what I'm called to do, at least, and I would love to be at the forefront of any conversation on that one. So where are we going to go?
Okay. Let's talk about, should we start with Lebanon?
Well, Lebanon, I think, is a result of what's going on. I would probably start with this agreement that it seems is coming together. I mean, and I think we have to have a discussion. Is he really going to agree or not?
I don't think there's an agreement coming together.
So you're going to have to convince me that he's not, because it seems like, and the movement is like, and the noise is like, he is about to reach an agreement.
No way.
Okay. Why do you think he's not?
Because look at Trump's pattern. Trump doesn't do things like that. Look, President Trump spent years beating the snot out of Obama for giving Iran a bunch of money. He trashed Biden for conceding to Iran over a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, just quickly did that. Okay? I mean, easily. Just every opportunity he has, he trashes them. Do you think for 1 second that the sitting president of the United States is going to give Iran anything? No way.
Okay, so let's go the other way. What is he going to do? Is he going to pull out all the stops? And what can he hit in Iran that hasn't been hit? Or what can he do in Iran that hasn't been done?
I am telling you, I believe this from the literal bottom of my heart. I believe this wholeheartedly. I fully believe this is the case. I believe that President Trump is doing what he, with the GCC and everybody else that surrounds Iran, the same thing that he did with all of those countries when he first came into office in 2016. Remember when he first came into office in 2016? When he offered the Abraham Accords, he told these guys, we will do everything we can to work with the Palestinian Authority. He even got Bibi to agree to the idea that they would give up East Jerusalem. East Jerusalem to the Palestinians. Trump knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that East Jerusalem would never be conceded to the Palestinians. He knew it. But he also knew that he had to demonstrate that to everybody. So what does he do? He says, we're going to give this, and then the Palestinians do exactly what Trump said. No, we're not taking it. At that point, immediately, many of the leaders of the Middle East tied to the Arabian Peninsula and the Persian Gulf started talking about normalization. It ended when Biden came in, declared the Yemeni Houthis to be non-combatants, and became ultra-friendly, getting in bed with Iran, completing what Obama started. Trump will never capitulate to that. He'll never do it.
Okay, so I am going to push back, and again, I'm not sure I don't agree with you, but let's say this, okay? The fact that he's pushing the Abrahamic Accords right now,
smart as could be.
He's pushing it down the throats of the Saudis, the throats
smart
of the Qataris.
Smart as could be.
Did you see who else he wants on the Abraham Accords? The Jordanians. And he actually said he wants the Iranians on the Abrahamic Accords.
Yep.
It seems, and again, this is me looking...
It's the same game he's playing with the Palestinians.
Let me see if I can explain. It seems like he's trying to push that as a carrot to make the swallowing or the sugar coating to make the swallowing of a agreement with Iran pill easier for Israel to swallow?
No way. No
Did
way.
you understand my dynamic?
I do understand exactly what you're saying. No way in a snowball has a better chance hanging out in hell than that idea being actually the issue. No way in the world would that be the case. I'm telling you, if he's mentioning Iran as part of the Abraham Accords, he's doing it for two reasons. Number one, he's doing it to completely troll the IRGC, number one. Okay? And he knows that that's a smart move for a lot of reasons. Number two, and perhaps more importantly, the function of trolling, as I would call it, has one concerted effort tied to it, and that's this. If the people of Iran recognize that regime change could put into effect economic prosperity, they will, in the name of being able to normalize with everybody in the region and no longer fighting, they will seek to take over. All of that is the Iranian people. All of that is for the benefit of the Iranian people.
I get you.
Trump has zero desire. Did you see what the people in Qatar just recently said?
No.
The guys in Qatar actually said, well, you know, there are $12 billion that are being held in our banks right now by the United States of America that belong to the Iranians.
Yep.
We propose that we give a $12 billion loan to Iran that they will pay us back so that the United States of America can still hold on to this money and it not be anything other than just that. Do you understand how stupid, incredibly stupid that looks to the president? The president will never let that happen.
So here's the
He'll
problem.
bomb Qatar before he lets that happen.
I get that. So let's go on that one. He's not going to have it. But if they do not give in, he's going to have to take the pins off the bombs and set those bombers back in the air. And what? He's going to hit Karag? Is he going to hit their infrastructure? Is he going to hit the water?
It's eventually going to be boots on the ground. It's going to have to be for a short period of time. There's no way in the world you're going to put into effect any major regime change unless that happens. Now, don't get me wrong. If there's a possibility for that to happen, Trump can definitely do it. He would be the guy to do it. 100%.
Is he going to be able to take an action that will raise the gas prices another $3 a gallon all across the United States? Can he do that?
Say that again?
Okay, to take an action, let's say tell the Air Force, go in, start taking out gas infrastructure or start taking out electric infrastructure in Iran. Okay, make Iran bleed, basically, more than they bleed tonight. That'll raise gas prices by $2 a gallon.
Yep.
Okay, can he do that? Do you think he can do that? Do you think he can pull it off? And do you think he would do that before the midterms? Or is he going to settle down things until the midterms?
But let's back up for a second. Explain to me what that looks like. Lay that out for me.
The negotiation with Iran breaks up. I mean, Iran does not agree to give up the nuclear material. Okay. And he says, okay, we can't negotiate anymore. I'm going to pull it off. And he says to the Air Force, go take out 20 bridges and 15 oil facilities. Okay, basically hurting them. They will retaliate by hitting desalination and oil facilities in Saudi Arabia, Ukraine, and Kuwait, and everywhere else. Okay, can he do that? Do you think he has the guts, the need? Is that something that you think Trump could do? $2 a gallon.
You're asking me that question?
$2 a gallon.
You're asking the question after Trump just literally turned the whole world upside down in the midst of one of the highest stock market booms in U.S. history? Of course he can.
The dollar.
Of course he will.
By the way,
if it's smart and it makes sense, absolutely.
James, the dollar is slumping. Do you know that?
Who cares?
Well,
If the dollar,
that's a question.
listen, if the dollar is slumping, the only reason why it's slumping is because of a massive pullback that's only done to do one thing, and that's make an adjustment. Anybody who's trading in the Forex market right now is having a field day. They're having a field day. The U.S. dollar slumping. Okay, let me just talk about the U.S. dollar for just 1 second. People are associating the U.S. dollar with oil in the Middle East, and they're referring to it as the petrodollar. Okay? The phrase petrodollar, in essence, has nothing to do with the United States currency. Believe it or not, petrodollar has everything to do with the fact that Saudi Arabia was incapable of being able to execute certain oil-based transactions due to federal law with the United States of America. So the workaround for that happened to be treasuries. They were capable of transacting using U.S. treasuries, and the value of those treasuries are tied directly to how the dollar is doing, amongst a few other things. So when those treasury notes change with respect to how they're manipulated, the dollar changes, and this is where we get the association of the petrodollar. Now, by the way, for any economist that's listening to me right now in the room, I know I'm oversimplifying it. Like, I get it. I totally get it. Because there's a whole bunch of other things that we could talk about that will make... There's so much nuancing that has to happen here. I don't think he cares. I don't think Trump cares. Why? Because Trump understands that if the fiat currency of the American dollar begins to collapse, that the whole world collapses with it. He knows that. So he also understands the fact that there will be a preservationist mindset that exists even amongst sworn enemies of the United States in order to maintain what they need to bring into fruition whatever is normal life to them. There's a lot to be said about this, by the way. I mean, a lot.
Okay, so let's go back.
But the short answer is yes, he would do it.
All right.
He wouldn't even blink.
So let's play it out.
If it makes sense, he's transactional.
So let's play it out. Okay. President Trump reached a point where we thought he had reached many times in the past. By the way, at least I did. Okay, where he says, "I can't take it anymore. I'm going to hit them with everything that I got."
Yep.
What does that look like in your mind? Does he start taking out Karaj? Does he start taking out...
It looks like whatever it takes to get to the next level, to bring another stage of destruction, to cause people to recognize that every mechanism of diplomacy has been utilized and we had to resort to force. That's how that looks like.
Okay, so what are the actual targets? What's he going to be shooting at?
My guess is if he's going to start bombing, he's going to start bombing Tehran again, and he's going to start bombing certain portions that are tied into the Persian Gulf. That's not even a question. That's exactly what's going to happen.
Okay. Gas prices are going to spike?
Yes, but can I explain this about gas prices?
Yes, please do.
Gas prices are going to spike. Yes, undoubtedly. Okay? That's what they do. But the more he gets gas prices to spike, the less volatility the spikes begin to produce.
Okay. I get you.
So there's a point in time where the market gets tired of the deltas that are represented within the gaps. And you begin to see it sort of drop. As a matter of fact, even with the increase of volatility, with the trade of some of those commodities, you will actually see less and less and less of these massive spikes and drops. Why? Because supply and demand is no longer the variable that controls that kind of maneuvering, because people learn how to get around the issue that creates.
And in the end, what is the final result? Let's go back to this, okay? What ends this kinetic cycle? I mean, how does it have to end? And again, I'm coming back to the basic idea. I think without regime change, nothing is going to work.
Probably.
I mean,
In other words, let me just simply say this. That's very reasonable. That's not what you're talking about is not an unreasonable assertion.
okay. So we're gonna need put more pressure until the regime changes. And I think we're back to where we were from the beginning of this. I mean, the whole thing started off, we had a feeling that the regime was going to fall immediately. And we were wrong about that.
I don't know. I think both me and you had some pretty good talks about how that doesn't necessarily work. I think we both had some good talks about that.
Well, I talked
that regime change wasn't going to be automatic, that it would be difficult, that it would be something that would have to be very hard-earned.
Okay. Do you think that Trump might reach an agreement now that is the Muslim version of a hudna, meaning let's settle down right now, recuperate, get the
Probably
prices?
not. Unless
Do you understand what I'm talking about?
Yeah. I do know exactly what you're talking about.
Just
a
a
simple word.
stall.
I know exactly what you're talking about. That would be a win to the IRGC. He's not going to give that win to them.
So we're back to a shooting war somewhere this week, if I get the idea correctly, or will it be able to stall more?
Listen, Habibi, okay? The shooting war is already happening. We're there. Kinetic, you can call it a ceasefire till you're blue in the face. If Pezeshkian comes out this morning, which he did, and bragged
that they won the war
about Iran's offensive action, he got up before the whole world today and he bragged about Iran getting militarily aggressive towards the United States overnight. Then the United States says, yeah, we bombed the heck out of Iran last night. That's what they said. We bombed the snot out of them, but it was defensive action in the midst of our ceasefire.
By the way, there's rumors about the UAE hitting targets in Iran.
Well, that's the issue. That's what started this, is that the UAE was attacked vigorously by Iran last night. And so the United States responded on behalf of not only its own interest and itself, but also defended the UAE, which, by the way, my understanding is some of the strikes that Israel has put into play in Gaza last night related to what happened with the UAE.
Oh, probably. Did you see the map that the IRGC put out of the Strait of Hormuz, where they actually say they are going to control the whole thing, all the way down below the oil terminal that the UAE has on the Gulf of Oman?
What a joke!
They've included that
Good luck.
Inside their territory.
Good luck. You know what the United States did last night? Most people don't know this. The United States scrambled a bunch of fighter jets last night and destroyed, using missiles from fighter jets, destroyed a bunch of Iranian small boats trying to lay out mines.
Oh, yeah.
Just obliterated them.
Okay. Which brings us, or should we kind of segue into this?
Yeah, we can. Yeah, easily. Let's do that.
Okay, let's see if I can tie together what we're talking about in the Persian Gulf with what is going on in Lebanon. Quick reminder, the southern part of Lebanon, meaning the border of northern Israel, has become a hotbed for Hezbollah, which is an Iranian proxy, to use as a base to attack Israel from. And on the 7th of October, they started to shoot rockets into Israel in the name of Hamas. And during the 12-day war, they started shooting rockets to Israel in the name of Iran. Israel did not instigate that. They instigated, and we've been fighting a running battle with them ever since. Usually we're winning. We're having a serious problem with the drones, and we can go into that. As of now, Iran has tied the fighting in Lebanon to the agreement with the United States, which means they've said to the United States, we need you to rein in Israel and not to take on Hezbollah assets in Lebanon. Why the two are connected, that's a question that a lot of Israelis have, but that is part of the issue. And as a result of that, even though Israel has taken up positions in southern Lebanon, as a result of that, Israel is holding back in Lebanon and not attacking assets far to the north in Lebanon. It seems like we've taken off the gloves. And they're talking about pushing forces back in. There's been bombings both in Tyre. There's been bombings in Beirut. And there's been bombings in the Bekaa Valley, which is to the northeastern part of Lebanon right now.
100%.
And all of that means that Israel is taking off the gloves in Lebanon, and that goes against the negotiation between the United States and Iran on the Persian Gulf.
Yep.
Are we following all of this?
Yep.
In the situation right now, and if possible, I would like to put a map up there.
Yeah, we're up.
So we can see what's going on. And if you look at the map of, let's zoom in on southern Lebanon a bit.
Okay, let me bring this down a little lower here.
Where's the border?
Okay, so here, I'll show you. Okay, this is the Galilee here. The border is
Right there.
Yep. That's line. There's the little finger there.
Go a little bit south. Go down. No, the other part. No. Take the map down. And all right.
Do you want me to change the style map? Is that the problem?
Yeah, I need the Litani. Where's the Litani?
Okay, here. Let me just do this. This should be able to, hold on, let me see. This might.
Anyway, while we're doing this, okay, Israel has no beef with Lebanon. The problem is that Lebanon cannot rein in the Hezbollah. We'd reach an agreement with Lebanon tomorrow, if that would be the issue. I mean, the problem is not Lebanon; it's the Hezbollah, which is doing Iranian work, and Iranian is using the Hezbollah to attack Israel, and using that as a way to put pressure on the United States.
I'm going to come up with a better map here that.
So what's happening is that we have in Lebanon, basically, excuse me, three players. You have Israel on the border, on one side of the border. You have the Lebanese government on the other side of the border. And the way that Iran has been doing ever since this whole thing started, or even before that, is using its proxies to actually project power and influence on a negotiation that has nothing to do with Lebanon. Does that reign, or does that make sense? On the other hand, the Hezbollah is saying we have a right to defend Lebanon from Israel. And I heard the head of Hezbollah actually said, we're defending Lebanon from Israel. Israel is saying, you don't need to defend Lebanon because if you stop firing at us, there will be no war with Lebanon. And in this situation, I heard the head of the Hezbollah literally say, it might be time to overthrow the Lebanese government.
Well, I mean, think about that. That's something that they have been wanting for a very, 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 very long time. This isn't something that should be new to anybody, right? This is real deal. This is a big problem. It's a big problem for a lot of reasons. Okay, so let me add this to you here. Let me remove the terrain layer.
There we go.
This will help.
That'll show me the Litani.
Yeah. And let me see if I can add a little bit more.
So southern Lebanon is being mixed into this. Let me add on a layer to that as we go on. Israel has had military advantage over the Hezbollah, meaning over the last 2 years, the Hezbollah has been hit very, very strongly. And again, we could talk about the beepers. We could talk about taking out of Nasrallah in downtown Beirut. We can talk about other things, but there's been a little bit of a shift in that dynamic where the Hezbollah has found a how do you say, a kink in the armor, basically, to say that, with the use of these long-range fiber optic controlled drones that we've kept on talking about, that is giving them an ability to hit Israeli soldiers. And we've lost quite a few soldiers in the last couple of weeks from these fiber optic controlled drones. Israel hasn't found a solution to that yet, and that's going to be a growing problem. But here's something that I'm seeing in Israeli, I'm going to say, public opinion, is that, yes, we are having a problem with the drones, but no, we are not going, that would be a good one. We are not going to pull out, even at the expense of us losing some of our men and women in uniform, because the story of Lebanon needs to be solved. And this is something that a lot of people don't really realize, that after the 7th of October, Israel is not wanting to, but is willing or accepting to pay the price in blood. And we are paying a price in blood for our security. And a lot of people need to understand that Israel is not going to give in.
Right.
Not going to give in southern Lebanon. So even if, and here's part of the problem, and I think Benjamin Netanyahu made this clear to Trump, even if Trump wants to, give up southern Lebanon in the name of any kind of agreement with Iran, Israel's not going to abide by this.
Right. But see, this is the thing. Trump isn't going to do that.
And
that's him and there's no space between him and Bibi. It's not going to happen.
Okay, so let's zoom in before we get to that. Let's zoom in to see what we're talking about here, because I think it's kind of important. Can we see the litany here?
Yeah, it's right here. See where my mouse is moving right there?
Okay.
That's it.
Okay,
right there.
you see that blue line there that goes east to west, that actually separates a whole chunk of southern Lebanon from the rest of the Lebanon. By the way, I've been on the Litani many times. It is a deep canyon. It is a physical border that would be very easy to hold, to make sure people don't. You need bridges to cross the Litani. You cannot cross the Litani, if you control the bridges across the Litani, you control all of the area of southern Lebanon that has the city of Tyre, by the way, inside it. Most of the villages in the southern Lebanon are divided, or most of the population is divided half and half Christian, half Muslim, but in this case, Shiite Muslim, and they have been the base where Israel is being attacked from. Which brings me to something else. We're talking about Israel putting a line on the Litani and saying, this is Israel's defense barrier. This is going to be our buffer zone. And the whole world's going to say, oh, Israel just wants to take territory. No, we didn't want to take this territory. We didn't need this territory. But because this is being used as a base to attack us from, Israel sees himself as justified in taking up land. Which brings me to something else.
Which almost guaranteed that becomes a permanent DMZ.
There we go.
Almost guaranteed.
There we go. And that's what we're talking about. I think what's happened both here and in Gaza. Okay, but here's a good example. Israel is saying no agreement with Lebanon will defend the population in northern Israel from attacks from southern Lebanon.
Yeah.
No agreement with Lebanon. The only way that we can secure the safety of our population is to hold on to the territory. And I think that is going to be what we're going to see. By the way, the same thing has happened in Gaza. In Gaza, we've created a buffer around the border with Israel, and basically we're holding on to parts of Gaza inside. And Israel, by the way, and the line between the Israeli forces and the Hamas in Gaza, the line between the Israel forces and the rest of Lebanon is called the yellow line.
Yeah.
A green line has another name. The blue line has another name. This is the yellow line. And we're going to be using this term more and more because it's actually called yellow line diplomacy. And I think a lot of people in Israel are saying this. You can bomb Gaza into submission. You can bomb the Hezbollah into submission. The only thing that they have a problem with, the only thing that the Hamas has a problem with, the only thing that the Hezbollah has a problem with, the only thing that the Arabs have a problem with is taking land, taking territory. And there's a growing consensus inside Israel that the only way both to defend us and to hurt the enemy in a way that they will actually back down is by taking actual territory. And I think we're going to see more of that in different kind of variations in what's going on. And again, part of the agreement that the Iranians are trying to force on Israel in regards to Lebanon is that Israel backs out of the yellow line. Part of the agreement that Israel is, part of the things that Israel is going to say, we are not going to back out of the yellow line no matter what happens, no matter how this happens.
Yep.
And I think this is part of what's going to be part of this agreement with Iran in the Persian Gulf. Israel will not back down from the yellow line today. And yesterday and today, we're seeing more and more evidence that Israel is going into southern Lebanon and going even further into southern Lebanon. And there is talk of holding the whole buffer zone all the way to the Litani River until something shapes out or until something fills in. If you want the Gaza one, get the one with the blue map on the top there.
This one?
No, right.
This one.
Well, I'd go
That's
to
a
the
YouTube.
I'd go to
This
the
one.
illustration.
This
That one. That
This
one
one.
probably
Okay.
would be the best one. That actually explains what the yellow line is. Well, a lot of politics going on. This is what's happening in Gaza as we speak. Let's see if we can get this on. This is the Gaza Strip. You're going to see the Gaza Strip. There's one side is the Mediterranean, the other side is Egypt. And you can see that Israel is holding on to territory along the border, okay? And you can see the yellow line in there. What the yellow line represents is where Israel is right now. That's where the Israeli forces are right now. You see that the yellow line separates the Gaza Strip, the people inside the Gaza Strip, both from Egypt and from Israel, by the way, and that's a critical manner. The talk right now is stage one of the agreement is Israel's pulled back to the red line that you can see lined up here and basically connect to that. I don't see, again, as the situation is right now, James, and here's the thing. It might stagnate. It might freeze in this situation, both in the Persian Gulf and Lebanon. And here, this whole thing might freeze up. And we'll be in this line here, that line in Lebanon, and an in-between situation with Iran. And we haven't even started to talk about the Houthis. The Iranians are holding them back, the Yemenite force, in order to get into that. So we might get stagnated here in this situation.
Well,
What do you
I think, man, it's a. I think Gaza is a test bed for what's going to happen in Lebanon.
Yes,
That's in essence what I think.
That's an interesting concept.
I think the mandate for the creation of the test bed came from the president, from our president.
Yeah. So we're going to see a solidification, if you want to put it that way.
Yeah, yes. I am certain that there will be a permanent DMZ that will result in Lebanon so long as Hezbollah is given a foothold to be able to control in any of the political arena. I think there's no other way to put it.
But there's a similarity between the issue in Gaza and Israel and Lebanon.
100%.
They're talking about disarming the Hezbollah in Lebanon. Okay, and they're talking about disarming the Hamas in Gaza, and they're talking about disarming the Iranians in Iran, and on all of these cases, Hezbollah, Hamas, and Iran are not agreeing to be disarmed.
Yeah, that's correct. Yep.
And until they agree to be disarmed, not to be a threat, Israel's not going to be able to live in peace with them.
But there's something that we have to look at here, and it has to be outside of the narrow band of vision that exists when just looking at Israel. Because what America is doing right now, under the leadership of President Trump, is America is normalizing the understanding that the Palestinian Authority is not reasonable. I think he's managed to do that already.
Okay.
And I know now what he's doing is normalizing the belief amongst the Sunni countries that Iran is completely unwilling to go to the table. That's what's happening.
So the concept that was, by the way, even in Israel, by the way, this is the concept that led to the 7th of October, that we can carrot and stick our enemies into being a non-threat. I
Yeah.
think that concept is done.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay? You can't carrot and stick Iran for them not to be a threat to the Gulf states.
But here's the thing. I want to do this because I think the carrot and stick illustration works to a degree when you're dealing with self-preservationists. But you're not dealing with that with Iran. You're dealing with Allahu Akbar. I mean, these are the people that are like they are idealists to the core. So we're not carroting or sticking anything when it comes to them.
So if they are willing to die, or I mean, I think we've used the term mukawama a couple of times, which means the resistance to strength and then the resistance to the enemy that they have in their mindset, and they're willing to suffer and to die for that. If they're willing to suffer economically, the carrot isn't going to work. And if they're willing to die physically, the stick isn't going to work.
Thank you.
And that's
the
the
point.
situation that we are in right now.
Look,
And here's the thing. Israel understands that. But I'm not sure the world has gotten this.
that's the whole point. You just helped to make my point. You made my point perfectly. You helped to make my point perfectly. Israel understands it. The president understands it.
I think he does.
He's understood it from the very beginning. The whole goal of the campaign of the president in this arena has been not Iran. He knows Iran is a lost cause. Who cares about Iran? It's about getting the rest of the world to understand that Iran is a lost cause. That there's no viability with respect to anything that's diplomatic in nature. And as a matter of fact, even if you subtract any function that may come as a result of diplomatic effort, you're still dealing with something kinetic at the end because there's something in their mind that's broken.
So the president understands this. Israel, by the way, that's one of the reasons Israel's been very quiet about this agreement.
100%.
I mean, let's make this clear. Israelis, not only Bibi, I'm choking on an agreement that if it comes out like this.
Yeah, but that's perfect. It's like
Okay,
the
but
president is wanting that reaction out of everybody. Him and Bibi have already talked this over. Like, I guarantee you, Bibi it's not even on his radar because Bibi knows that the president is doing the same thing that he's always done.
what would convince the world, though? I mean, here's the thing. We see it. Okay, I see it in a little bit. Do you know that they just he just fired the what do you call the judge advocate general that pulled off the whole thing about the
video camera and
the assault against the prisoners?
Yeah.
Okay, the chief of staff fired
Which,
her.
for those of you guys that don't know this, I just want everybody to understand this. This judge advocate general in Israel is a bag of scum. Okay? You're talking about a legit dirtbag. Because somebody who's supposed to, as a JAG, the equivalent of the judge advocate general that we have, they're supposed to defend IDF soldiers and commandos and so on and so forth. Instead, they completely lied and framed these guys over something they didn't do.
They did it because they believed that they had a role to stand up for the poor Palestinians who are become the victims.
They
And
did it
again-
because they're scumbags.
Okay.
They did it because the attorney general is a scumbag who's in bed with the JAG. They are dirtbags. They are. There's no other way of putting it. They are the people in the elite that are ruining Israel.
Again, I'm trying to get to the dynamic of this, okay? These are people that believe that they have to stand up for the poor and the downtrodden and those who are being victimized. I mean, that was what she was doing. By the way, all the people who are standing up against ICE.
100%.
Same dynamic. Oh, these poor drug dealers, these poor criminals, these poor criminal elements. We, in the name of our humanity, in the name of our sense of justice, need to protect them from legal law enforcement doing their job.
Yeah, it's more like in the name of Satan.
There we go.
These people are Satan worshippers.
So there's a mindset, but here's the thing. That mindset is playing into the politics now. It's playing into the politics because there's a whole segment in the United States of America who believes that these poor Palestinians need to be defended. These poor Iranians need to be defended. It's like, I don't know. I mean, people forget that there's evil in the world. You don't raise a wolf as a dog because a wolf will attack you.
That's what the president is trying to demonstrate. He wants the rest of the world to know diplomacy is bleeding. Matter of fact, he doesn't even care about the rest of the world. All he cares about are the sheikhs, the prime ministers, all he wants people to, the only thing he wants to get out of this is all of the people that were mentioned by him. Look, the president gave away the name of the game. He did it a few days ago when he actually, he did that on purpose. Who is he in direct contact with? Who is he having meetings with? Formal and informal meetings with on a regular basis. Qatar, the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait. Yes, Kuwait. He's having conversations with Jordan. He's having conversations with Oman. Egypt. I mean, he named Fattah al-Sisi in the text that he gave. He's meeting with Jordan. He's meeting with Egypt. He's meeting with, unofficially, he's meeting with Syria. Officially, Turkey was named in there. Erdogan. He's, as a matter of fact, just for fun, I should read all these names.
You should put us back on. Are we on or the map on?
No, we're on.
Okay.
No, we're on. I turned the map off. We should read some of these names because some of these names are just unbelievable. I mean, you just think about where some of these names, some of these things that are named, it's unbelievable.
Okay, so we're basically, if I'm reading it right, if you're reading it right, we're back to a shooting war sometime soon.
I think so.
I know that the Israelis are ready for it. We're just waiting. And according to Israeli news, we got the go-ahead to finish off or to expand our, military operations in northern Israel into Lebanon itself. I would love for the Lebanese to overthrow the Hezbollah. I mean, again, that would be the solution. And as long as these people are willing to die for their, I think it was Joel Rosenberg who called them a death cult, okay? And I've heard people quoting that as long as this death cult is willing to die in the name of this. So I'm all for sending them to their Virginia.
Yeah, and I'm going to find this. I'm going to find the list, and I'm going to as a matter of fact, here we go. I'm gonna do this because I want people to understand just how serious all of this is. Like this is not a small thing, not by any stretch of the imagination. Let me find this here. Oh, I think Truth is going to make me log in. Hold on. Okay, I'm going to find this and I'm going to give this to you because this is here. Let me see here.
I think I've got it somewhere.
No, I'm going to find it because this is important, very, very important for us to talk about for a lot of different reasons. And let me see why this is.
By the way, the dollar is really going down, James. What are we going to do with
Going
this?
down for 5 seconds. It's not, the again, the idea behind the dollar going down is not what a lot of people think it is. Or, I mean, I think more and more people are beginning to see right through this. That's what I actually think is happening. Let me see here. Okay.
Okay, I haven't found it on mine.
No, I'm switching here. Hold on. I'm gonna find it. It is. I don't like all this slow time, but I might as well just. It's worth taking the time to find this. I'm looking for this tweet. Maybe if our moderators can do it, that would be very, very helpful. So that I can. Okay, here we go.
All right.
I may have it here. Okay, go ahead. Keep talking, and I'm going to find this, and we're going to get into it.
Oh, I think we've talked about the drones, but again, the drones are another aspect of how the asymmetric warfare, how the technology has changed the power balance. The fact that a underground organization like Hezbollah can actually hit Israeli soldiers in the manner that they have. The fact that Iran, with a decimated military, can still threaten to close the Strait of Hormuz, and we can't really solve the problem. You have to be willing to accept the losses in order to make that weapon non-usable. What's happening in Lebanon, yes, I know it's hard. I know we're losing soldiers. But Israel, to a certain extent, says until we find a solution to the drone problem, we are going to accept the losses and not going to back down. I don't think that Western nations are ready to fight those kind of wars anymore. And that is something else. We just now had yesterday was Memorial Day in the United States. And
Yep.
I
found it, by the way.
you celebrate all of those who had fallen in order to defend this country. Israel has its Memorial Day before Independence Day. And I think per capita, I mean, the numbers are much, much higher. But what I'm trying to say is this, to a certain extent, and this is me talking as a soldier, as a commander. If you're not willing to defend your values and defend your role with your life and your limb, then those values are not going to be defended. The enemy is always going to push back. And every once in a while, you're going to have to prove that you're willing to make the ultimate sacrifice to defend what's important to you. And I think Israel is going through this right now. I think the United States of America is going to have to realize that if they're not willing to defend their values, their freedoms, and their control over what needs to be controlled, with actually people who are willing to put their lives on the line, then those values will not be defended.
Okay, let me read this to you. This is important. Okay, this is the Truth Social post that Trump put out a few days ago. Okay, I'm going to read this to you, and then I'm going to get into who each of these leaders are, because I want you to understand why this is. By the way, I did a video where I briefed everybody on this that I thought was really, really important. Okay. He says, I'm in the Oval Office at the White House, where we just had a very good call with President Mohammed bin Salman Al Saud of Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan of the United Arab Emirates, Amir Tamim bin Hamad bin Khalifa Al Thani, Prime Minister Mohammed bin Abdurrahman bin Yassim bin Haber Al Thani, and Minister Ali Thawadi. All, by the way, of those leaders are from Qatar. So that's why he didn't mention who they were from, because they're all from Qatar, right?
Whoa.
Okay, then he mentions the field marshal Saeed Asim Munir Ahmed Shah of Pakistan.
Okay, he's a major player in all of this.
One of the biggest military leaders in the world, basically, and a lot of people don't necessarily recognize that because that's who he is.
He's the chief of staff of the Pakistani
Pakistani military, which is basically the only Muslim country that has nuclear weapons. That is a very interesting thought process, at least in that region. That's probably the better way of putting it. Okay, so he names President Tayyip Erdogan, Recep Tayyip Erdogan of Turkey, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi of Egypt, King Abdullah II of Jordan, King Hamad bin Isa al-Khafiyya of Bahrain, concerning the Islamic Republic of Iran, and all things related to a memorandum of understanding pertaining to peace. What he's telling the whole world, by the way, let me just finish this. An agreement has been largely negotiated, subject to finalization between the United States of America and the Islamic Republic of Iran and the various other countries as listed. Separately, I had a call with Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu of Israel, which likewise went very well. Final aspects and details of the deal are currently being discussed and will be announced shortly. In addition to many other elements of the agreement, the Strait of Hormuz will be open, blah, 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 blah. He's sharing the whole world with the whole world that Iran is not going to flex. But let me talk about some of these leaders for a second, because I have them listed here, and I'm just going to riff on it a little bit. I want to tell you who they are, okay?
MBS.
Yeah, MBS, Mohammed bin Salman. He, of course, is the crown prince, de facto leader of Saudi Arabia, because his father is still technically the king, okay? Now, he matters because he's arguably the most powerful Arab leader in the world. There's nobody more powerful than him. He's the guy behind OPEC, OPEC Plus, Vision 2030, all of that stuff.
But he is also the leader of the Muslim Sunni world.
100%.
I mean, Mecca
100%.
and Medina, the two holy sites, are under his control, and he's considered the head of the Sunni world.
That's 100%. 100% correct, okay? Now you have the next leader that he names here. Let me see here. Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, okay, who is the UAE leader. He's the president of the UAE. He, by the way, is also the ruler of Abu Dhabi. So this is something that people don't necessarily put together, oftentimes referred to as MBZ, believe it or not. That's how we refer to him. Now, he's one of the sharpest strategic thinkers in the Arab world. We all know that. Many of us recognize how important he is as a leader. I'm looking at this list of all the other leaders. By the way, the UAE, based on its size versus its economy, they punch way above their size.
Let's stress that the UAE, if there is I'm going to say, if there's a scale or there's a spectrum of anti-America on one side and pro-West on the other side, of all the Gulf states, the UAE is much more in the pro-West.
100%. 100%. Not to mention the fact that the UAE has maintained relationships, believe it or not, with Israel and Iran. Not so much with Iran anymore, but that was part of what they did, and it was such a huge deal, especially for the GCC. But that's changed a lot. Now, this is an interesting name, and this is important. I should point this out, why this is important, okay? Amir Tamim bin Hamad bin Khalifa Al Thani. This is the leader of Qatar, okay? They refer to him as the Emir of Qatar. Now, he matters, okay? And he matters because of how Qatar is situated. We don't have to get much into Qatar. But some of the names listed as leaders of Qatar are important here. Here's another one. And this is a name that I thought was really also important that got named by the president. Mohammed bin Abdurrahman bin Yassim bin Yabar Al Thani. This is the guy who is in essence, the prime minister and the foreign minister of Qatar. This is the guy that Tucker interviewed.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. He's deeply consequential here because of his involvement with the hostage negotiations. Okay? So he's been known to deal with the scumbags that work with Iran.
Okay.
Okay? So that's an important one. Okay? So here's another one. And he's also consequential because he's the senior Qatari official that is best known for the World Cup stuff. If you remember his name, you might remember El Thawadi.
No,
okay?
But okay.
He's important because he was key to Saudi Arabia bringing in some of the contracts for soccer. Okay, we call it soccer. Everybody else calls it football. Now, Munir Ahmed, this guy, I had to research a little bit about him. But according to all the work that I've done, man, this guy is key. He is the field marshal. His name is Saeed Asmir Munir Ahmed. Okay, which, by the way, there's an interesting thing to be said about him. But he basically is the chief of army staff of Pakistan. He does exactly what the chief of staff would do in Israel and what Pete Hegseth does in the United States of America. Okay, he matters because the military is massive. It's a super massive military, and then of course I don't have to get into the consequentiality of Recep Tayyip Erdogan. He's the leader of Turkey, literally the biggest military in NATO, second only to the United States of America. Okay.
We need to do a whole segment on Turkey because, I mean, we need to talk about what happens when NATO falls apart.
Turkey owns the coasts north of the Mediterranean when NATO falls apart.
Well,
I promise you that.
Greece is pushing back big time.
Greece won't have a chance. You know that,
that's
and I
why
do.
Greece and Israel are very closely connected.
Oh,
right
yeah.
now.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so
That's actually why Cyprus is doing what they're doing right now with Israel. They know the game, okay? Abdel Fattah al-Sisi is the other name. We know that's the president of Egypt. He very much matters for a lot of reasons. Perhaps the most consequential and significant reason is the southern border of Israel, as well as the Suez Canal. Those are the most significant reasons. Actually, not to mention, look, Northeast Africa is a significant portion of the whole continent, and Egypt pretty much is the gatekeeper. So that's very important. And then King Abdullah, we don't really have to
I
get...
want to add something on the we keep on kind of forgetting the religious aspect. The largest Muslim university and the greater scholars and sit in Egypt, in Cairo.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And some of the greatest Muslim scholarship as well as in Pakistan, believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
Pakistan, India. But yes, you are right about that. Egypt stands at the center of it, which is why the Islamic Brotherhood is very dangerous right now in Egypt, the Muslim Brotherhood. So there's King Abdullah. We talked about him. King Hamad bin Isa al-Khalifa. This is the king of Bahrain. He's not a small guy. He's nobody to be looking at. You want to know why? This is the major reason. And I don't have to get into any other reason other than this. Bahrain hosts the United States' Fifth Fleet.
Mm-hmm.
What? The Navy's Fifth Fleet is in Bahrain. You think for 1 second this group of people that the president is getting together with? Look, if I were to summarize this, because I had this written down, okay? It's all of the Sunni Gulf monarchies. Every single one of them. Israel, Turkey, on top of that. Egypt on top of that. Jordan, Pakistan. I'm looking at these names just to tell you. And, of course, the United States. This is every major power block in the Middle East and surrounding all of the Islamic world.
So I'm going back. The last bottleneck that's holding all of this back is Iran. That's the last bottleneck.
That's the point. I think the point of what the president is doing right now is basically saying, I am doing everything humanly possible to bring diplomatic consensus. And Iran wants nothing to do with it. So it's time we stand at a different level.
Okay.
That's what I think is happening. Let me ask you this. Can I just ask you this? This is an important question. And hopefully this will bring peace of mind to you and to everybody else. Because I need it. Listen, I need peace of mind with it too. Because don't think for 1 second, like David is sitting here nervous and I'm not. We're all nervous. So the question to ask is this. Has the president ever done anything different? No.
Has he ever said anything?
No.
By the way, I mean, I saw movies of him back in Trump Tower back in the 1990s saying Iran needs to be taken out.
The president cannot stand the Iranian regime and what they represent.
Somebody asked if Hezbollah and Hamas are Shiite. Yes and no.
No, Hezbollah is Shiite. Hamas is not. But Hamas functions as an extension or a proxy of Iran because the convenience involved in doing so is necessary in order for their survival.
They are Sunni, but they're a Muslim Brotherhood.
Yeah, they're unified in their hatred towards Israel.
And again, we're finding out 7th of October. They believe that because they're Sunni, they would be able to spark off the Sunni world
Yeah,
against Israel.
that's right.
On the 7th of October.
Which is a terrible, terrible error that they made, because the Sunni world is becoming more and more and more and more, for lack of under their terminology, more and more worldly, more inclined to want to work with the West.
I know you said terrible, but thank God they miscalculated that.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
100%.
if their calculations had worked out, and Sinwar was actually believing that they're winning and pulling this off in the beginning of the 7th of October, and pulling in all the hostages and maybe even taking over territory and holding on territory for a while, they believed that would cause the rest of the Sunni world to rise up.
I think you're right.
They did believe
There's
that.
no other way to look at that. You're 100%
And
correct.
if that had happened,
You're 100%
let me
correct.
say this. If that had happened, it reminds me that when I was a little baby lieutenant, I don't know if you know, but on the road between the Dead Sea and Jerusalem, there are a couple of special places, road curves and bridges that actually have gaps prepared in them to put explosives. And I remember as a little baby lieutenant, they were talking about an all-out attack from the east. Think about Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Iraq getting together and sending an army through Jordan, through Amman, through the Jordan Valley up towards Jerusalem. Now, the drive from the border with Jordan to Jerusalem is half an hour.
Yep.
20 minutes. I mean, think about holding back that kind of an army. I mean, if the Arab world ever does rise up against Israel, we're going to be on a very, very serious threat.
Yep. 100%.
And the Hamas thought that they would be able to spark that out, or kind of light that spark that would kind of create that kind of effect. Thank God that it didn't happen.
Yeah.
So we're going to be waiting. Do we want to talk about the Israeli elections quick before we go too far?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's have that conversation, because I think we hammered away the Lebanon issue. We hammered away what I actually think may be one of the most consequential moments in Middle East history.
Oh, we're coming to it.
Yeah.
And then we're going to have elections in the middle of this. And I'm going to say myself, you can't make more of a balagan. Oh my.
At least they have not collapsed the
government,
the Knesset.
Okay, so again, in a nutshell, parliamentary democracy, we elect parties. We have a parliament with seats in the party. The party who gets the most seats in the election creates a government. That's what Bibi is running now. But he has to make a coalition with other parties. In this case, the relevant others are the religious parties who don't serve in the military and don't really pay taxes. And as a result of that, get funding because they are supporting Bibi's government. They were threatening to overthrow the government because Bibi was not going to promise them not to draft at least some of them into the military. That was the situation last week. This week, I think they're going to let the election play out. We're going to kind of play out in November, I think, is when the election is actually officially going to come. By the way, this is the first government that has lasted, if it does, its full term.
From
I
election
think,
to election, that's right.
Yeah.
In what, 10 years?
4 years. I'm going to say more than 10 years. I got to double check this. This is kind of weird. But here's the thing. I think in a nutshell, and again, we'll probably be talking about this, but whether the government is overthrown or the government makes it till November and we have elections, the result of the elections are going to be very similar to the result or the political makeup that Israel is today.
Yep.
The Likud will be in power. Benjamin Netanyahu will be the prime minister.
He will, for sure.
The left will still be the opposition. And again, by how much? By 50?
I think the left is
61?
dying. I think the left is dying in Israel.
Yeah. the left. I mean, you see it in the channels, you see it in the podcast.
I mean, even did you notice when Channel 13 interviewed Tucker Carlson? They were hard on Tucker. Now you have to understand. That's extraordinary for Channel 13 to be hard on Tucker, because for those of you that don't know, Channel 13 represents the left in Israel.
Totally left.
They're like the evil, like they're like the.
They're like our MSNBC.
Yeah, they're trash. And even they were beating up Tucker Carlson. Did you see the whole interview, by the way?
I did.
It was entertaining, actually.
It was.
Watching Tucker
and
just squirm.
He did put his English. I wish his English had been a little bit better, but he did push against Tucker in a couple of places.
It was hilarious. Even Channel 13 can't stand with Tucker. I mean, like, you have to understand the politics in Israel to be able to understand why that's so significant. Like, it would be like Cortez, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, interviewing a Trump lover or a Trump hater, and then bashing the Trump hater for not loving Trump.
It's like The View interviewing, who was it? Yeah, I mean, you get the idea. But basically...
The View, what a curse word. The View. It's such evil women.
But here's the thing. How are they so... I mean, how is AOC being talked about as being the Democratic representative?
Oh, God forbid, man. They're talking about her doing a presidential run?
Yes, but I mean, who else?
A presidential run. That woman wouldn't be able to... She might be one of the most stupid women to ever walk through the doors of Congress.
Well,
and she's going to be the president?
I'm kind of hoping she does run, because that'll make the situation much, much better. We haven't gone into American politics lately, but okay. But basically, what about Ilhan Omar? What's happening with her lately?
She's falling apart.
What happened?
I
haven't been following it
She's
close.
a complete nut. She's busy fighting World War XI.
She's never going to leave that down.
I'm telling you, bro. I'm telling you. She is sick in the head. And I think people are beginning to catch up to her.
So, midterms are how far away?
We're almost there. Right now we're doing the primaries. Midterms are in November.
Who's going to take? Are we right to be fearful of a Democratic landslide?
No. Don't think so.
All right.
No, I don't think so. I think that what's happening here is I think that what we're about to see is a lot of shock. I think what we're about to see is people blown away at how deep and dark the left is repudiated. That's what I think.
Yeah, but I think we're going to have another...
Not that I want to produce false confidence in anybody.
We're going to see another version of the elections. I mean, there's going to be a lot of talk about how terrible it is and how the Democrats are playing and everything. Yeah. And then when you see the results, we're going to see that it is not as...
I don't think they're going to win. It's going to... now, that sounds very confident of me, but I think we're going to win them. I think we're going to beat the midterms. That's what I think we're going to do.
Then the next stage is, where do you predict will run in 2028?
I got to think Vance is running.
You think?
I have to think it's Vance.
You think it's Vance and Marco?
Vance and Marco.
Or Marco and Vance?
If it was Marco, then Vance wouldn't be running on the secondary ticket.
Ooh, interesting.
If it was Marco running for president, it would be because Vance didn't want to run and didn't want to be in the White House anymore.
That's interesting. So we got an interesting period.
Yeah, which is a real possibility. But I think Vance is talented. He's really smart. I don't think he'll let the left influence him as much as everybody thinks they will. I think Vance is He's better connected to reality than a lot of people think he is.
Is he pro-Israel?
Yes.
Okay.
I think he is.
That's really important. So we're going to have an interesting week, James. This
Bro,
is going to be...
put it this way. When I was in the White House and I was talking to Vance, now mind you, there's politics involved.
Always.
You got to be a politician. He was very complimentary. Well, I really can't get into much of what was said, but I can just tell you this right now. I can tell that he has his head on his shoulder,
Okay.
squarely. He has his head on his shoulder, and I got to talk to him. For maybe 10 minutes. That's a long time, by the way, to talk to a vice president.
Yes, it is definitely a long time. Is he shorter or taller than you are?
It's a good question. Let me go back and look at the pictures we took together. I don't really remember, to be honest with you. I have to go look. Hold on a second. Let me look. I think I might be able to type in Vance, and it might pick up pictures. Hold on, let me see here. If I do a little search here, I'll just type in White House.
There we go.
Okay.
In the meantime, I would look towards what's going on in Lebanon this week, and I would look towards how this agreement with Iran is going to kind of play out. And when we go back to a more, how do you say, kinetic way of discussing things with Iran.
Yeah, look, there's only one real way to cut it, and the way to cut it is in understanding where things are going. I don't think the president is. I don't think the president is ignorant.
I don't think he is. No,
I think that he fully understands what he's doing. I don't think that he's foolish by any stretch of the imagination. I think he's fully aware of everything that he has to deal with, and I think that he's playing the game the way you would expect him to play the game. I mean, and I'm not kidding when I say that. Look at this. I'm looking for a picture of me being with the vice president. That's hilarious. I can't find it to save my life. I'm going to get it. I'll find it.
All right. I keep on watching my phone to see that the rockets haven't started kind of flying again. We're going to see that. We've been on the road, by the way, me and Christy. We were up in upstate Washington this weekend, and we're going to be in Colorado next weekend. So if you're in the Denver area next weekend, we'll be speaking at Calvary Chapels up there and at a conference out there. Come up and say hi. That'd be cool.
Yeah. And then you're booked in kind of to the end of the year. And then we have something together. We have something together in June, right?
In Santa Barbara, if I remember correctly.
Yep. Okay, let me see. All right, here's one of the pictures with me. I think we're about equal in height.
There you go. You are.
That's us in the White House. I'm almost certain that we're equal in height, I think. I don't know, maybe you guys can tell. Try to put it up in front of the camera there. It took me a while to find it. He's a sweet man, by the way. He's very kind to me. We had a great conversation.
I saw the movie about him, and very interesting. I mean, people come out with that kind of background.
Yeah. Okay. So should we take some questions, or do we have? Well, you know what? We don't have time.
We don't. Really
do we?
have time.
Let me do this. Let me very quickly read some of the super chats and the super stickers. I know we have a few of those, and I think that's probably appropriate for me to be able to read that for all of you guys that are doing. You guys are all amazing. You're all very generous, and to that I would say thank you. Okay, Brad, you say an FYI for you folks in LA, if you need dental work done and don't have money, tell the dentist you're a tell the dentist you're a meth. He meant to say meth head, but he put method head, and they'll bill Karen Boss. That's funny. Brad is way more hip than a lot of people think he is. The kind of stuff that he thinks. Now, Brad wants me to think, or he wants me to sing this, but I just can't. He said, "Christ died. The days grew cold. A drop of gas would buy a bag of gold. I wish we'd all been ready." Oh, that's hilarious. The Thief in the Night song. Children, no, not Christ died. Children died, not Christ died. I read that wrong. Oh, Brad, children died, the days grew old, a drop of gas would buy a bag of gold. I wish we'd all been ready. I did that for you, Brad. Hopefully I did that well. Since I misread it, I thought I'd sing it. Badger Girl for God, you say, greater love has no end than this, and he laid down his life for his friends. Thank you for your sacrifice so that we can be free. You know, amen to that. Thank you for all of our troops that gave their lives like that. Waiting on the Lord, you say, God bless Pastor James and David. Thanks for reading the dignitaries' names from the Truth Social that President Trump mentioned. Those are just as long as Hispanic names. Yeah, they are. I couldn't figure out how to pronounce them. Yeah, they're easy for me to pronounce. Thank you, by the way, for your support. And once again, waiting on the Lord, you did another one. President Biden changed his name to Arabic. Jobin Sleepy El Walking Mummy Biden. Oh, I love you guys. All right, David.
But one last thing before I forget, it just came across my feed.
Yep.
The Mundial is supposed to start soon. The World Cup.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
and for those of you who don't know or don't realize or don't understand.
And everybody's in Mecca, by the way, too.
Yeah.
Well, that's a whole
So the Hajj is going on, but when the World Cup, the World Soccer Cup, this is the World Championship of soccer, okay, Iran is one of the nations that has risen to be part of this tournament, and they are expected to come and play in the United States.
Yep.
Well, here's the thing. The United States says that they're not willing to have the Iranians stay here.
Yeah.
So Mexico
that
is
crazy psychopath is letting them stay in Tijuana.
Yeah.
Of all places, Tijuana.
So Mexico decided to host the Iranian team while they're in the Mundial.
Can you get more stupid?
But we're going to be watching some pretty good football, and I am a soccer fan on among other things. And let's hope that the USA team kind of makes a lot of noise on that one too.
Amen to that. Okay, brother, want to pray?
Yes.
Go for it.
Avinu Shebashamayim. Just thank you that your will is being done on earth just like it is in heaven, because you are in control of all. You're in control of Trump, and you're in control of Iran, you're in control of Bibi, and you're in control of Israel, and you're in control of Hezbollah. We just pray that your peace and your wisdom will overplay in all of these things that we talked about today. Thank you that we have this president in the United States. Thank you that Israel is strong enough to stand up to its enemies. And thank you that we know what the final result is going to be. We pray for our families here and in Israel. We pray for all of the people who are listening to us right now. And we want to thank you for this platform that you've given us here. Thank you for Pastor James, who's made all of this possible. And we just pray that we will bring glory to you in your name. And in the name of your son, Yeshua, who's made all of this possible. We just want to say amen.
Amen and amen.
Amen.
All right, guys. We love you.
Let's see what's going to happen.
Keep
I'm
fighting
curious.
the good fight, you guys.